Hello and welcome to the Private Practice Podcast. I'm Dr. Brooklyn Storme, and with nearly 30 years experience in the industry, I'm really excited to share practical insights, valuable wisdom, and all the tools that you need to build a thriving private practice. So whether you're a counsellor, psychologist, social worker, or play therapist, this podcast is all about keeping it real with stories, strategies, and all the support you need to help you flourish in business. We're going to be embracing a mind, business, spirit approach, diving into honest conversations that will uplift your practice and soul. And if you haven't already, come and join us in the Counsellors Connect Australia Facebook group. It's totally free and you'll find a warm, supportive community of like-minded professionals. So go grab your favorite drink, your journal, a pen, get cozy, and let's dive into the mind, business, spirit approach to private practice that you've been looking for. Welcome to another episode of the Private Practice Podcast. So pleased that you're here. This is actually the fourth time I've recorded this podcast this morning. I'm having so much trouble with my Mac. Look, it's from 2019. It's probably due to be replaced. Everything seems to just be slowing down. And the last time that I recorded it, it went for quite a long time. I was talking about the proposed national standards for counsellors and psychotherapists in Australia. And I was out of GarageBand and I was into a Google Doc and looking at the draft of the standards. And then when I came back to click stop on the recording in GarageBand, it had halted halfway through and I didn't know, and it had changed to my audio to get the audio from Microsoft Teams, which I don't even have Microsoft, so it just stopped recording. And anyhow, I think I just need to bite the bullet and go and get a new one, guys. So what I want to do is, I guess I'll just give you an abbreviated version this morning. So this is going to be especially important for if you're in my audience and you are a counsellor or a psychotherapist working in Australia. There are some important changes that you need to be aware of, and I think this podcast is a great way to get this information to you, because if you're not on social media or you're not a member of ACA and PACFA, you might not have any idea what's going on at all, and you might miss out on your opportunity to contribute to the conversation, have your say, and perhaps even affect some change to these standards. Now, one of the things that's really concerning to me is that with the standards here, we can see that, it was about 12 months ago now that we had Joanna DeWeaver in our group on Zoom with us, talking to us about these proposed national standards, and it was all very reassuring and lovely, and, nothing bad's going to happen, and right? And since then, look what's happened we were under the impression this was going to take time. It was going to take years, but since then, so just in that 12 months, now we're in the second iteration really of the standards. So we had a survey a few months ago that was distributed and made available for all counsellors and psychotherapists to participate in. Now, of about 18 or 20,000 counsellors, can you guess how many actually took time to respond to that survey? I'll tell you, 270. It's pretty poor form, guys. And what's happening as a result of this is ACA and PACFA are just assuming, well, we only had 270 people, of which 50 came from ACA or PACFA, by the way. So let's say 220 people, and they weren't all counsellors either. I think there are only like 70 counsellors or something like that took time to respond. But there were psychologists that responded, there were nurses that responded, there were OTs that responded, things like that. But anyway, what I'm saying is people didn't respond, they didn't contribute their thoughts or opinions, and now we're in a pickle. And you have an opportunity now with these draft standards to let your concerns be known. And it's really, really, really important that you do, because some of these changes are quite scary, I feel. And there's certainly a lot of anxiety that's happening in the community at the moment. And that's just not nice for anybody. We don't want anybody to feel anxious, okay? So welcome back to the Private Practice Podcast. Today we're going to dive into a topic that's been creating such a lot of conversation in the online world and a fair bit of concern. in our field, and that is the proposed national standards for counsellors and psychotherapists. So these standards aim to really raise the bar for the profession, and it's a great goal, but they also bring added layers of regulation, requirements, expense, time, and expectations, especially for private practice owners. In fact, it looks like from just a quick reading of these standards, looks like a lot of people who are in private practice might not be able to run a private practice. So it's really important that you go and familiarise yourself with these. So if you're not in ACA or PACFA, maybe you're in a different membership body, you do need to be aware of these. I'll put the link to the draft standards below. You have time to connect with the people who are conducting this research, and you'll be able to fill out a survey with them. Now, just giving you a quick heads up, that survey is quite limited and restrictive. They're only looking for certain types of information, and you might not be able to get your point across, in which case, if you don't feel that there's scope for you to get your point across, they have included an email address in there. So I'd recommend strongly that you identify yourself, let them know that you're writing an email in response to the proposed national standards for counsellors and psychotherapists in Australia, and speak your mind. This, I cannot stress how important this is, because already we've got hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands, of counsellors and psychotherapists that are in fear at the moment. They're complaining, they're worried, they're panicking, and only 270 of them, not even, participated in the last survey. So I cannot stress to you how important this is, okay? But in today's episode, I'm going to break down the 8 key areas of the proposed standards, what they mean for your practice, and how you can start preparing now to try and stay ahead of the curve, is if that's something that you want to do. We can talk about options for those of you who just have made the decision for whatever reason. It's you can't afford it, you don't want to feel bullied into going and getting more qualifications, you don't agree with this new framework and stuff like that, and you're happy to pivot. I'll also give you some pointers towards the end of this episode as well. So yeah, don't worry, I will share with you how you can find support to navigate the changes, whatever direction you want to take yourself in. Okay, so the 8 key areas. The first one there is education and training requirements. So the proposed standards require specific qualification levels, such as AQF level 7, and emphasize supervised client contact hours during training. So one of the things that I think is really important for you to be aware of, just in case you're thinking about studying, or if you're currently studying, maybe see if the course you're doing now is going to meet the requirements or not. These are not in place yet. This is only a proposal, but this looks like it's where it's going. Throughout the standards, there will be 4 levels of practitioner. Those are foundational. The second level is qualified, the third is advanced, and the fourth is specialist. So foundational, basically you can't do anything. Basically it says that you're going to have either an AQF level 5 to 6 or 7 to 9 with less than 450 hours of client contact. With your placements, if you're AQF level 5 to 6, you need to have at least 100 hours of supervised practice placements. 40 of those need to be face-to-face with your client. If you're AQF level 7 to 9, you need to have a minimum of 200 hours of supervised practice placement within the training program, with a minimum of 80 hours of face-to-face client contact. What else did I want to say with you? I guess... for qualified, so I'll just go over this quickly. For qualified, you need to have 450 to 750 hours of contact. For advanced, you need to have 750 plus. And for specialist, you need to have 750 hours plus in your area of specialisation. And you've got to have your placements, all that kind of stuff. With your training and practice, you've got to have supervision. It needs to be focused on client outcomes, self-care for you, PD, stuff like that. It can be supervisor or group with up to 6 supervisees. What else? training and practice. So there's another section here called private practice. And this is, I guess, because this is my area and this is what I help you with, what's a big concern to me is that we've got people who are in foundational are not allowed to be in private practice. That's just done. Can't do it. I think that this is hypocritical. I think that it's without base. So the reason that I know this is because I've done a lot of research into clinical outcomes with clients as they relate to private practice. And there's no research that consistently shows that a high level of education and experience gets a better outcome for a client. There's no research that says that. The research, by and large, consistently says that what does create a good client outcome is the therapeutic relationship, so the rapport between the client and the therapist, and also there's a lot of research to suggest that the client has to feel a level of congruence with the therapeutic modality being used, right? So they've either got to really like CBT if that's your thing, they'll get a better outcome. But if they come and see you and you give them CBT and they're not into CBT, then they're not going to get a good outcome. Make sense? So anyway, given that one of the main purposes of this is to have standardization and they want it to be evidence-based, they haven't actually based much of this on evidence. And that I think is ridiculous. I think, how can you say we want all of this to be evidence-based, but their actual proposed standards are not evidence-based? It doesn't make any sense. It's hypocritical. Anyway, you can do your own research into that. We've got some things here too under ethics and professional conduct. So basically, you're not allowed to say anything mean about another counsellor. You're not allowed to undermine the profession, stuff like that. So basically, the normal stuff. Got to do your PD, all of that. The stuff there about boundaries. What else did I want to say? Yeah, there's a lot of it kind of is shared across qualified, advanced and specialist. Foundation is more sort of around understanding and learning. What else? Yeah, I think the other big thing to be aware of is the introduction of discipline. So yeah, if you get busted undermining public confidence in the profession, you're going to get kicked out of ACA or PACFA and you won't be allowed to practice. That's basically what it's saying, as I understand. But I'll tell you what it actually says, and you can see if I'm right or not. Where is it? Recognises that procedures for withdrawal of your membership may be implemented for breaches of these standards. And guess what? If you're not a member, you can't practice. It's unclear if you need to be a member of ACA or PACFA. It's also unclear who the regulatory body is going to be. Is it going to be APRA, for example? And I would like to know, I don't know. Let me just say with psychology, right? You can, they've got membership bodies there. You can be in them or not. Doesn't matter. But you're still having governance through APRA, right? They're the ones who will investigate complaints that are made about you, all those kinds of things. It's quite litigious, I feel like this is where this is heading. But membership with groups in psychology is optional. Is membership with ACA or PACFA here optional? I don't know. It's constantly saying your membership's going to get cancelled if you do anything wrong. So membership to whom? What if you don't want to be with PACFA or ACA? The other thing that I guess I'm questioning is, because, I'm not a member of either, so this is not biased, this is just my 5 cents, and you take from it what lands and leave what doesn't. But I guess the way I'm seeing it is ACA and PACFA are businesses. If they're going to build it in to the national standards that you've got to be a customer of their business, this is a money-making activity, right? Think about all the counsellors who are not with ACA and PACFA, right? All those counsellors who are out there practicing now who are with other bodies, right? are they now not going to be able to be with those other bodies, and they're going to have to be with either ACA or PACFA? Does this mean that ACA or PACFA are essentially going to have a monopoly on the price? Will there be price gouging for members? Are there going to be, changes made to membership fees and all this kind of stuff? And what's going to happen with things like one of the things that doesn't sit well with me is when membership bodies make recommendations about approved, endorsed, accredited, recognised, whatever word you want to use, training providers or insurers. Like they'll say, oh, we recommend this insurer. We recommend all our members sign up with this insurer. And then members do, right? Because they don't question. They're just like, you're the boss, I'll do it. If you reckon that's what I need to do, I'll do it. And they believe, right? They trust and they believe. But what I want to say is I feel like there needs to be more transparency around this, because I know there have been other instances in the past, I'm not going to name names, where let's say membership was recommending you go with a particular insurer or you go with a particular training provider that's accredited by them, but the membership body was getting kickbacks. They're called trailing commissions with insurers. So I want to know, is the membership body I'm signing up to, if they're telling me I've got to go with ABC insurer, are they getting kickbacks for that? So is it really the right insurer for me, or is it just the insurer they want me to sign up with so that they get the kickbacks, right? There needs to be greater transparency around this. Now, I don't have any issue with commercial relationships. It's normal to have business-to-business relationships. What's not in integrity is to not disclose them to members. So I think if you're, for example, ACA or PACFA, and you're going to say, we recommend this insurer, please know that for every member that signs up, we get a 10% trailing commission for, every time you renew the policy as a member, right? And I just want to know. Or we recommend you go and get your degree through ABC institution, and please know that for all students who go and enroll in that particular program or course, we get a $500 incentive from that. I mean, just be honest and just be open. It's all this hiding it that I feel is a problem. And I think that members have a right to know what's going on with the money. By the way, if you're in ACA, which is now a public company, did you know that if you've paid your $10 to them, you actually have the right to access things like the minutes of their meetings and their financials and stuff like that. So if you're curious, don't be afraid to ask. Now, they're not going to make all that information publicly available on the website. You actually have to send them an email and request it. You don't have to say why you want it. You just have to say, I'm a paid up member. Here's my membership number. This is the information that I'm seeking, and request it, and they should get it back to you within 10 working days. Okay, that's your right as a paid up member of a publicly owned company. You have the right to that information. The other thing that I think could be interesting for anyone might be to have a look at what was said at the board meetings about these national standards. Who was involved with the board meetings? What was the rationale for the national standards? Where did it come from? What was the consultation process like? I mean, did you feel that you were consulted with as a member of ACA or PACFA? If you did, great. Do you feel that it's representative of you and where you are? Like, do you feel that they're representing your best interests by pushing ahead with the national standards? If so, great. If not, okay, what are you going to do about it? You really do need to let them know. I think part of the reason we're in the pickle that we're in now with the national standards is because barely anybody said anything. I don't know why that was. I don't know if it was because you didn't know about it. I don't know if it was because you were busy. I don't know if it was because you were afraid to say something. But the fact that barely anybody did is meaning now it looks like it's all going to go ahead. But there's still time to stop it. And if there's more of you that don't want to go ahead with it, or if there's more of you that do disagree with things, there is time for you to affect change. Okay, there's absolutely time for you to affect change. These are not set in stone, but if nobody says anything, guess what? It'll be another 3 months and we'll be in the new year. We'll be in the new year and we're going to be dealing with national standards, right? So yeah, get involved is what I'm saying. ACA, oh, this really annoys me as well. I don't understand how ACA and PACFA working with Department of Health and Aged Care to, develop and create and implement and roll out all these national standards, yet not making the information accessible to things like lots of people have questions. It's not enough just to put on the website, hey, here's the proposal. It's raising a lot of questions. Now, if you're going to the government and you're saying we want to make these national standards and but we're not going to tell anybody the information unless they join our club, how can you expect people to comply with them? So I'm speaking specifically about ACA here. ACA is only offering information sessions and Zoom sessions and things like that to paid up members, and I think that's BS. I think if you're saying that these are going to apply to everybody, you need to give everybody equal access to them, right? I know that people do have access to the draft, but you're in charge. You're one of the key players here. Why would you not want to share this information with the public? PACFA is doing a better job of handling this, in my opinion, because PACFA is saying, look, we're going to have a Zoom. I think their Zoom is on the 26th of November at 7 p.m. I don't know, I'm going to say Melbourne, Sydney time. I don't know, but you go and check the PACFA website, or check the PACFA Facebook page. But they've got a meeting or a webinar or a Zoom or something happening where everybody can go and they can listen, ask questions, get information and stuff like that. I think they're handling it really well. I think ACA are not, and I really disagree with how it's been approached. Yeah. As I said, how can you expect people to go along with this if you're not going to give them an opportunity to voice their concerns and ask questions? It's ridiculous. There's going to be, if you have so there's going to be a regulatory body. We don't know who that's going to be or what that's going to look like. There's going to be a complaints process with that regulatory body that's going to involve investigations, proceedings, requirements of complaints body having jurisdiction over those who have been accused of breaching the standards. And if you get found by that overarching body to have breached one of the standards, then, procedures for withdrawal of membership may be implemented for breaches of the standards, right? And what does that mean? If you're not a member, guess what? You can't practice, you lose your business. Are you okay with that? If you're not okay with that, turn up to the webinar on Thursday night with PACFA and ask for more information, or go to one of the Zoom webinars if you're in the ACA, right? And ask for more information, find out what that actually means. If you've got issues, if you're worried about it, if it's causing you anxiety, speak your truth. Send an email to the people who are conducting this investigation. Well, it's not an investigation, but who are working with the Department of Health and Aged Care, ACA and PACFA to, develop these standards. Their name is Allen and Clark Consulting. Allen is double N. Again, you can email them at office at allenandclarke.com.au. So that's allenandclark.com.au, and let them know your concerns. Right. So just in a nutshell, the education training requirements are that the proposed standards are going to be requiring specific qualification levels and emphasize supervised client contact hours during the training. For those who are already practicing, though, this is a good time to ensure that your qualifications look like they might align and match up with the proposed. For those who are just starting out, bear in mind what it's looking like in terms of what you'll need, and try and choose an accredited program, because this is going to be critical to you being able to work as a counsellor. When it comes to supervision, please note that supervision throughout your career will be required, and it's going to have specific ratios tied to your practice level. This means an ongoing financial and time commitment It's supervision's no longer optional. It's worth absolutely finding a supervisor who aligns with your goals right now. Okay. There's competency standards. So the standards outline career stages. As you heard before, they're foundational, qualified, advanced, and specialist, with specific competencies required for each of those 4 levels. So I guess one way of thinking about this is like a roadmap for your career growth. It can be a great opportunity to reflect on where you are now and where you'd like to go next. Okay. And where you'd like to go next can include where you'd like to go next in terms of your practice direction, or even perhaps pivoting and things like that. So really important to have a think about those things. Of course, there's other things too, like ethics and professional conduct. So there's a heightened focus on informed consent, confidentiality, and professional boundaries, which means that you need to make sure that you've got airtight policies moving forward. Now, if you don't have those policies in place yet, don't freak out, don't panic. I've got you covered. You can grab my essential forms for private practice. They will be able to help you out with those. But if you're working dual roles like therapy and coaching, you need to make sure that your boundaries and agreements are crystal clear, and that there's no confusion around what somebody's signing up for when they work with you. There's also private practice regulation. So licenses, practice agreements, and data protection measures will be required for all private practitioners. And this is a really good time now to audit your informed consent, any agreements, and ensure your processes too are compliant with confidentiality laws and any other legal standards. Then we've got continuity of professional development. So you need to have a minimum of 20 hours of CPD per year, and they must align with your niche or gaps in your skills. So strategically planning your CPD now can really help you to get ahead, and it ensures that it benefits both you and your beautiful clients. We've also got complaints and disciplinary oversight. So new mechanisms for handling complaints now include audits, as well as stricter disciplinary actions and remedies for standards that are breached, and this can include you not being able to work anymore. Maintaining clear and thorough client documentation, though, can be super helpful to protecting your practice and, of course, in meeting these expectations. And then we've got some implementation considerations. The rollout will be phased with possible grandfathering provisions for existing practitioners. That's still unclear, as are the exact timelines. So I would say don't wait for clarity. Start reviewing your qualifications, your policies, and your processes now so that you're prepared. Okay. So the proposed standards do bring about quite a lot of change, and I know that there's a lot of anxiety, and it's really normal to feel unsure about how to navigate these changes. Things like qualification audits to compliance requirements, it can all feel like an uphill battle. But here's the thing, guys, these changes also represent an opportunity for you to be able to elevate your business, elevate your practice, align it with best practices, and also to stand out as a really trusted professional in the field of counselling and psychotherapy. So a few quick practical steps so that you can start wrapping your head around things and start preparing. The first thing that I would recommend is that you do a self-audit of your qualifications and processes. So review your qualifications, your client agreements and policies for compliance. Identify any gaps and start working through addressing them, fixing them, improving them, right? Number 2, I would recommend that you build out a plan for your supervision and your CPD. So if you haven't done it yet, maybe go and set up a supervision schedule that aligns with the level that you would be at, foundational, qualified, advanced, or specialist, and plan CPD activities strategically so that you can meet the requirements of the standards. So you have to be doing CPD with a supervisor who specializes in what you're going to be specializing in as I read it. Okay, so it needs to align with your goals as well as the new standards. Number 3, stay informed. So keep up with updates on the rollout and take advantage of any opportunities to provide feedback during the consultation period. I cannot emphasize this enough. If you don't say anything, what's going to happen is you'll feel powerless and you'll feel like things are being done to you. Whereas if you speak up, if you share your thoughts, if you raise your concerns, all those kinds of things, it puts you in a position of feeling empowered, like you can influence the change. And that's a better place for you to be in. And then 4, I would seek support and collaboration. So navigating this alone can feel really overwhelming, especially with so many of us in solo private practice. Having a mentor, a supervisor, or a community to lean on can absolutely make a world of difference. Okay, so this is why I created Practice Momentum. I wanted to be able to provide a space for therapists who are navigating these kinds of challenges, whether it's adapting to the proposed new standards, adapting to the standards when they come into force, growing your client base, or streamlining the business. In Practice Momentum, we meet monthly for in-depth group business consultation and coaching. Between those sessions, you also have access to a private group for real-time support, accountability, and help implementing things, right? And the groups only have 5 people in. It's about making these changes really manageable for you and empowering you to have your practice your way on your terms. Whether that's going to be staying, working as a counsellor and psychotherapist and zigging to the zag of these new standards, or whether it's going to be about how do we pivot? What do I want that to look like? Can you help me with it? Let's make it a reality, right? Let's do it. So if you're feeling unsure yourself about how to tackle these changes, you don't want to do it alone, I would love to help you find some clarity and confidence, okay? The proposed standards are a big shift, but as I see it, they're also an opportunity for you to be able to refine your practice and position yourself for long-term success. You can start preparing now, and please don't ever be afraid to seek support. If you'd like more information about how to adapt to the changes, or how to pivot, or how to, create your practice your way on your terms despite the changes, or you've got questions about how to join or get started with Private Practice Momentum, reach out to me and I'll be more than happy to help. Thanks so much for listening today. I know change is challenging, but look, with the right tools and the right support, you and I both know that you're capable of some incredible growth. Okay, so take care for now, stay safe, and I will see you in the next episode. Bye. I really hope that you got so much enjoyment, value, and insights out of this episode today. And if you did, please feel free to go ahead and leave a review. When you leave a review, it means that more therapists can access this help and support and tools to support them in their private practice and in their journeys. Thank you so much for listening to the show. Have a gorgeous day.